says Michigan lawyer Amir Macklin, who claims federal agents recently detained him at the airport after returning home from a family vacation abroad. Why? Civil rights lawyer says that border agents targeted him because he represents clients accused of crimes that run afoul of President Trump's policies, including an activist who was arrested and charged in connection with a pro-Palestinian encampment at the University of Michigan. In a statement to CNN, U.S. Customs and Border Protection confirmed Macklin was detained and questioned, though they dispute his characterization of the encounter, deeming the accusations, quote, blatantly false and sensationalized. Well, Amir Macklin joins me now. Amir, thank you for joining. I want to understand what happened here because you got off your flight, you went to customs, and then federal agents took you aside. What did they say to you?
Well, the moment I went to the passport desk, the agent asked for a TTRT agent, which my understanding after I looked it up meant Terrorism Task Force response team or something along those lines. It had something to do with a tactical terrorism response. And so that was deeply concerning to me. And so eventually they led me into an interview room and they had a special agent come in who wasn't wearing a uniform and didn't identify who he was, but started asking me pointed questions. And they knew about me. They had my history. They knew I was an attorney. They said that we know that you're taking on some higher profile cases right now. And the only high profile case I'm involved in currently is a student protester at the University of Michigan. And so that raised my awareness and it caused for me to pause and be alarmed as to what the purpose of this questioning was.
It must have been pretty stunning for them to give you your own career to you and know who you were in that particular realm. I mean, they wanted your phone. What specific information were they after? Did they tell you and did you give them your phone?
Well, the first question they wanted was, "Is your phone with you?" And I said, "Yes, it is." And they handed me a pamphlet, and it had a federal statute on it that basically said that they're allowed to confiscate my phone at the border. And they told me very clearly, they said, "We're going to take your phone, or you can open your phone and let us go through the contents of your phone." And at that point, I told them, "You guys already know that I'm an attorney, and I have privileged communication in my phone. I'm not going to just willingly give you my phone and allow you to rummage through all the contents uh, of whatever's in my cell phone. It's just not going to happen." And it took me about an hour and a half of debate with these agents before they agreed to not take my phone, but only if I first let them look at the contact list that I have, people that are stored in my phone,
Really?
a contact list to see who the names were.
Did you acquiesce to that?
At that point, I acquiesced because I wasn't interested in them to take my phone away from me. So I allowed them to go to my contact list and look at that. And at that point, they started asking me very pointed questions about individuals who were within my contact list. They wanted to know how I was associated with these individuals, what my relationship was with them. And, at that point, I also pushed back and said, "I'm not going to give you those details. Anybody that's in my phone is either considered to me a friend, a family member, or a client. And that information is not something I'm just going to give to any federal agent."
Now, Amir, the CBP says in a statement, I'm reading here, quote, that during the approximately 90-minute screening, officers worked to ensure attorney-client privilege was respected during electronic media search. He provided written consent to a limited search of his electronic device, and all actions were conducted in accordance with established protocols. He was then promptly released. Claims that this was an attack on his profession or politically motivated are baseless. Our officers are following the law, not agendas, unquote. So why do you think this happened to you?
The agent was very clear with me that he knew I was involved in some higher profile litigation. It was very clear to me that they had done their homework about me, they'd done their research about me, and this wasn't a randomly selected additional screening or additional questioning after coming through the border. This was something that they were waiting for me, ready to ask me questions, and were, in my opinion, done with an intentional purpose to either intimidate me or harass me. Why bring up that I'm involved in some higher profile litigation? Why mention that at all to me? Why say that we know you're an attorney? If there was some sort of a non, um, you know, if their intention was not based off of my political thoughts or process or the representation of my clients and the criminalization of the free speech of my client at the University of Michigan encampment case, Why else would they have stopped me? I'm coming from the Dominican Republic. This is not a trip that would raise any awareness. I was on a spring break trip with my wife and kids, and unfortunately for my family, they had to wait and see me being detained by federal agents in the airport.
That must have been very disconcerting and troubling to your family. I'm thankful that you came here tonight to describe your experience. I think it's very important for us to hear it. Thank you so much, Amir Macklin.